Hello everybody and welcome to the second Survive pre-alpha. This update is primarily focused on improving the feel and the control of Survive. Hopefully you can already see that handling has been significantly improved this month. Because the weapon handling and the player movement are such a huge part of your interaction with the game, I want them to feel smooth and fluid. I want you to really feel like you have total control over your character. Over the course of this last month, I have completely revamped the weapon system and then used this new system to create all new procedural animations and effects. When creating this new system, I also integrated a scripting language called AngelScript. So now I can create a whole new weapon with just one script file, a weapon model, and a few animations. With this, I will be able to add new weapons to the game much faster. This scripting system is also being used for the terrain generation, which I'll talk about later in the video. This update is much harder to show in a video than previous updates because it's all about improvements to how the game plays and how it works internally so that people who have pre-ordered can have a better experience. So let me just jump over to the dev test area so I can show off the improvements to the weapon and the player control without getting killed. The first couple of changes all have to do with the player movement. This is the new walk animation. You can see how he really leans into the direction that he's moving now. Here's a new sprint animation finally in the game. The final movement improvement is the addition of a landing animation for when you land from a jump. It's fairly simple, but it really helps you feel grounded. Along with these movement animations, I also made some changes to the movement logic. So you can no longer sprint unless you're moving forward. You can't sprint while you're shooting, reloading, or looking down the sights. And if you try to do any of these things while you are sprinting, you'll stop sprinting and blend to whatever animation you wanted to do. The next set of changes were to the actual weapon firing to make it feel more powerful and like you're actually shooting. As you can see, there is now a crosshair that represents the current accuracy of the weapon. The accuracy of your weapon will decrease if you're walking or sprinting. The accuracy of your weapon will also decrease exponentially as you shoot. So the longer you hold down the trigger, the worse your accuracy is going to get. Shooting short bursts will help to counter this. Holding down the trigger will also cause your weapon to climb. Again, shooting in short bursts will help to counter this. There are also new weapon effects. There is a smoke trail and a bullet for every shot you take. This really helps to see where your shots are going and how accurate you are shooting. There's also smoke emitted from the barrel with every shot instead of a muzzle flash, because the gun has a suppressor. In addition to the new effects, I also added a camera shake that happens with every shot, along with a new shooting animation to make the shooting feel a lot more powerful. Now every time you shoot, bullet casings are ejected from the gun and thrown out into the world. Each one has a rigid body and will collide with the environment realistically. They also make sounds when they collide with the ground depending on what surface they hit. You should be able to hear them hit the ground when I shoot. Right now they also never despawn. They're fairly low poly and it doesn't hurt performance at all. In the future you'll be able to pick up these casings and reuse them to make more ammo if you want. I'm sure you've already noticed this, but now you can also run out of ammo. So if I use up all my ammo, you will hear a click instead of a shot, and the bolt release here on the side will shift. Then if I press R, I'll load a new magazine. I did do this animation myself, so it's not the best, but it was my first time doing a full animation, and I'm pretty happy with the results. That's about all the new stuff I can show in a video this month. There were a lot of other improvements in this update that are not in this video because either they are not ready yet or they are internal improvements. In this month I spent a good amount of time on terrain generation, but I had to push it to the next pre-alpha. It didn't make it into this update because it's not quite ready yet, and I really want it to be perfect before I show it off. But the terrain generation will most definitely be in the next pre-alpha. I also did a bunch of general usability and compatibility improvements to give the people who pre-ordered a better experience. I added 2 new video options to the menu, so now you can change the quality of the grass and the draw distance of the zombies. Right now these 2 things are some of the most performance heavy in the game, so if your computer is having trouble running at a higher frame rate, you can turn these settings down. Both of these systems are still fairly unoptimized, so don't worry too much if you have to turn them down right now. In future updates, after they are optimized more, you'll be able to use higher quality settings. Another usability improvement I added in this update are crash dumps. If for some reason the game crashes on your system, a message box will pop up and tell you a crash dump was saved to the Survive folder in your My Documents folder. Sending this to me, along with a log file that's saved in the same folder, will help me track down and fix any crashes that come up. These crash dumps will also be sent to me automatically through the Steam API. So if you're running the game through Steam, you don't have to send it to me. But I would still appreciate it if you sent me a description of what happened when it crashed. The last big compatibility improvement I added was cross-platform shader debugger. So now, every time a shader is compiled, the engine will run it through a tool called GLSL Validator. This tool checks that the shader is correct and spits out errors when it's not. The reason I need this is because the NVIDIA drivers are much less strict on errors than AMD. So when I compile a shader on my NVIDIA machine, it will say everything is okay. But when one of you tries to compile the exact same shader on your AMD hardware, you may get graphical glitches or errors. This tool will catch most of these errors so you AMD users can have a more consistent and bug-free experience from update to update from now on. If you didn't read the update blog post from a month ago, I said that there would be a new pre-alpha about every month, and I'm fully intent on sticking to that. While this update is about a week later than I would like to have released it, there will be a new pre-alpha every month, plus or minus a week or so. I'm planning on pre-alpha 3 coming out in about 3 weeks, so I can make up for the week I went over with this update. In pre-alpha 3 there will be the actual release of the terrain generation, and if I have time, the addition of the new zombie, or at least the start of getting him in. So that's it for this update, and thanks for watching. If you haven't already, you can pre-order Survive and try it out right now at subsurfacegames.com/survive. When you pre-order, you will get a Steam key and a download link for the game. You can follow the development of Survive by subscribing to this YouTube channel, reading the development blog at subsurfacegames.com, liking the Facebook page at facebook.com/subsurfacegames, and following me on Twitter at subsurfacegames.